The story of Silent Hill 2 is considered one of the most mysterious and profound stories, difficult to grasp. As I mentioned, it's also considered one of the best stories in video games, and one that was very daring for its time. If I were to summarize it simply, it's a psychological struggle, a psychological experiment, and a terrifying journey that ends with the revelation of truths, even more horrifying than the suffering itself. It's a story that weighs heavily on the human psyche, whether you're a player or someone who might hear it. You might be surprised now, because it truly is a strange story. The story begins with James Sunderland, an ordinary man who receives a letter from his wife who died 3 years ago, Mary. In the letter, she tells him that she is waiting for him in their special place inside Silent Hill. Despite his shock, he goes to the town, holding on to a tiny bit of hope. But he is surprised to find a pale, abandoned town filled with fog, which makes him feel even more uneasy. Let's talk about James. James is a mentally broken man, drowning in guilt and regret because of how things were between him and his wife in her final days. Mary's illness made her angry and hopeless, while James lived with feelings of pity, helplessness, and despair. This created deep anger and guilt inside him, connected to the way she died. In the town, things become stranger. Every place, character, and thing James encounters reflects his mental state, and the town shifts according to his emotions. The game makes the player feel the same tension that James is experiencing. Yet again, he meets several characters, each playing an important psychological role. Maria. She looks like his wife Mary, but is more lively and attractive. She represents the ideal version James wished Mary could be. But she keeps dying and coming back, which increases his confusion and emotional collapse. Eddie, a troubled young man who suffers from bullying. He would speak of contradictory or strange things, saying that he had killed someone or caused someone's death, and according to him, that person made him do it. Then suddenly, he would deny everything and say that he was joking. He represents the violence and anger buried inside James, and their encounter ends with a fight that leads to Eddie's death. Angela, a young woman who suffered from domestic abuse. She represents the despair and emotional pain that James feels toward those closest to him, similar to Mary's suffering. These characters may be real inside Silent Hill, or just reflections of James's psyche. Each one represents part of his emotions and internal conflicts. The monsters also have psychological meanings, because they embody the fears that James felt. Let's explain each one first. The lying figures. These monsters, when we see them, are creatures covered in tight fabric, which prevents them from moving or makes their movements strange and illogical. If you were to dress or cover a person in tight fabric, they would react similarly. If we interpret them, they are symbolic of the physical suffering of Mary, James's wife. The restraints we see on them in the fabric reflect her state of helplessness and weakness, which Mary experienced as if she were bound. Sometimes these monsters release poison or liquid, which symbolizes Mary's anger or bitterness, or her state of mind regarding James. The second monsters are the mannequins. These display dolls resembled female bodies, divided into two halves, legs above and below. Their design was very strange and confusing, but what's even stranger is that it reflects James's repressed physical desires as a man, desires he couldn't fulfill due to his wife's illness. These monsters could also represent the disconnect between physical and psychological desires in the conflict James was experiencing. The third monster is the Bubblehead Nurse, one of the most terrifying enemies in Silent Hill. The game was known for them. They are considered iconic enemies of the series. These characters also reflect James's own contradictions regarding his wife and the nurses he encountered during treatment at the hospital. Since James's relationship with his wife was limited and he couldn't obtain what he needed, he began to think about the nurses, increasing his feelings of tension, inadequacy, and anger. Consequently, the nurses appeared in the world of Silent Hill, but as a form of punishment, they appeared in a very hideous and distorted form, wanting to fight him. The Abstract Daddy, a monster connected to Angela, representing the abuse she suffered from her father. It also symbolizes the emotional torture present in Silent Hill. The Pyramid Head is the most famous monster in the world of Silent Hill. It's an icon more than anything else. Pyramid Head is the most terrifying monster, strangely omniscient, as if it knew what was happening. But you must understand that in his encounters with James, the character's greatest impact was revealed. In short, this character reflects the guilt and self-punishment that James carries for his actions. The symbolism of punishment is centered around the sword he wields. It is the punishment itself. In all of James's encounters or escape attempts, it reflects a general feeling of guilt. No matter how fierce the confrontation or how much he shoots at it, it's impossible for James to kill it because this monster embodies a feeling of punishment that is difficult for a person to escape. It's the feeling itself that, once it's gone, is what ultimately ends Pyramid Head's life. As you've seen, we've talked about the characters in the world of Silent Hill, as well as the monsters, and we've noticed that each one has an explanation or relationship to James in the story. But there's one more character, the young girl Laura. This character is different from all the others we've mentioned. It's true that she's a mysterious figure who raises many questions despite her appearance and innocence. Laura's story is different from the other characters, as I mentioned, because she's not connected to the world in the same way they are. Laura doesn't experience the suffering the other characters do, nor does she see the monsters James encounters. She's a character, but her connection is only to the past. She's not involved in negative emotions or guilt. She simply has questions and is trying to find something out. But who is Laura? She's a girl who knew James's wife when she was in the hospital. She loved Mary and considered her like a mother, and there was undoubtedly a deep sadness at Mary's death. This is what makes us see her in the world of Silent Hill. She has questions and wants to know exactly what happened. That's why she always accuses or lies to James about his wife's death. But we return to the same point. Laura also represents an internal struggle within James. Anyway, after all these characters, during James's adventure in this terrifying reality or nightmare, James reached the truth in a certain way. In the end, James finds a videotape revealing the truth.
It's too bad we have to leave. Promise you'll take me again, James?
He is the one who killed his wife. He suffocated her, not the illness. This shock explains everything he experienced inside Silent Hill. The town was a manifestation of his guilt and punishment. After that, he confronts a monstrous version of Mary on a hospital bed as the final boss. It becomes clear that James wasn't honest with her, and he held mixed emotions of anger, despair, and the desire to end her suffering, or to free himself from her, which led him to commit the terrible act. After her death, James fell into deep remorse, and his journey in Silent Hill became a form of punishment and a search for redemption. The ending changes based on the player's choices. One ending where James dies, another where he lives with Mary, and another where he continues his life. But the core truth remains: he killed his wife, and his journey was a confrontation with his guilt.
But that's not why I did it. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
If that's true, then why do you look so sad?
This is the story of Silent Hill 2. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.